What's up, watchers? Will here with your Godzilla Kong video for the week. So, as you can see from the title, we have another versus for this week. That's right, the battle between the Astro Assailant and the Mechanical Monster. So, let's get right down to physical stats. Let me clarify though that I'm using the Heisei MechaGodzilla because they came out in a closer time period to one another, and their sizes are closer to one another for comparison's sake, as well as some other things that might make the fight a little bit more fair. And since I brought him up, let's start with this mecha, standing at an even 120 meters tall and 120 meters long, and weighing a whopping 150,000 metric tons with orange eyes. The combatant, an extraterrestrial Godzilla clone, stands at 120 meters while standing and double that with 240 meters in length, but being much lighter at only 72,000 metric tons in mass, also with orange eyes. All of these are emitting SpaceGodzilla's flying form, which we'll address later on. Next up is personality, since kaiju actually have that here. So, considering that MechaGodzilla of the Heisei actually is all mechanical, he does not have much to him other than doing what he is told and commanded to do, as well as programmed. SpaceGodzilla, by comparison, is actually quite intelligent, as he formed strategies for combat, and his attempt to take over Earth was of his own volition, rather than being controlled by some sort of outside force. He also seems to be a lot more malicious, as he wanted to kill Godzilla, a force of nature, so that the Earth would be easier to take over without anything trying to defend it. So in a way, we do have another good versus evil match. Finally, let's tackle abilities and weaknesses. MechaGodzilla is capable of firing laser cannons from its eyes and a Mega Buster from its mouth, the latter of which is strong enough to compete with even Godzilla's atomic breath. The body of MechaGodzilla is covered with a protective artificial diamond layer known as NT1 that allows it to also absorb energy from weapons like Godzilla's atomic breath and transfer it to its plasma grenade. He has his tranquilizer missiles on his hips, paralysis missiles on the shoulders, and shock anchor cables on the wrist that can shock his opponent. The anchor cables, in fact, were later modified to become the G-Crusher, which could target Godzilla's brain and ended up crippling him. Now, the Super MechaGodzilla upgrade, wherein MechaGodzilla can attach to the Garuda warship and obtain the Maser cannons and achieve liftoff, as well as it immediately being healed when it's united together. So, all those strengths, it must only have a handful of weaknesses, which it does. Being a machine, MechaGodzilla is susceptible to being externally short-circuited, which happened in use with its shock cables. It also sucks for fighting hand-to-hand and actually lost an eye to Rodan, as you can note, most of its weapons are long-range. And finally, ridiculously immense amounts of heat can do immense damage, but it did take around 1.2 million degrees Celsius of uranium atomic heat to melt its near indestructible outer shell. But it is possible, and this could be a threat to it. Now, onto SpaceGodzilla, who as mentioned can fly, which adds 130 meters to its height, making it 250 meters tall, 250 meters long, and increases its mass to 80,000 tons. He covers his body in crystals during takeoff, but the crystals on his shoulders can also be used to fire bolts of energy as well. He can fire a corona beam from his mouth, emit an aura that can cause electrical disturbances, which is interesting because energy can also be absorbed through touch. So SpaceGodzilla is kind of a Super Saiyan, being able to both absorb and expel energy. Physically, he has a prehensile tail that can be used to lift and stab things with the crystal structures protruding from it. He can create a shield around its body that deflects projectiles, and also has regenerative abilities, but arguably one of his most dangerous abilities is his telekinesis, to move and levitate objects wherever he wants. Again, all of these crazy powers, what are his weaknesses? Well, he has short arms, so he too cannot fight very well in hand-to-hand combat, and as noted, he too uses many projectiles. His giant shoulder crystals through a source of energy and also act as kind of a glass cannon when they're destroyed. SpaceGodzilla's overall power drops a ridiculous amount when this happens. And finally, he has weak skin, so when he's pierced by both Godzilla's red atomic breath and Mogira's nose drill, you can kind of see why he has to shield himself so much. So now, you're taking a look at all of their powers and abilities. Who do I say would win between the two of them? I say it goes to MechaGodzilla, but he has to be quick with it. If MechaGodzilla can get off that G-Crusher or even the tranquilizers and aim in and fire at the giant shoulder crystals, it can do some serious damage to SpaceGodzilla. However, in all truth, I think due to their similar weaknesses and strengths, the match could swing either way, but I think MechaGodzilla has a slight advantage due to its armor strength and the power of its upgrades, while SpaceGodzilla's shoulders and skin leave it a little bit more exposed. But hey, let me know in the comments below who you think would win in a battle between the Heisei MechaGodzilla and SpaceGodzilla. And leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Hybrid Network. I'm Will, and I'll see you next time.